My name is Rick O'Shea. I'm the presenter of The Book Show on RTE Radio 1, and I'm honoured to be here in the Museum of Literature Ireland to announce the winner of the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year Award for 2021. Listowel Writers Week is always one of the favourite weekends in the Irish book and reading world, not just for myself, but for visitors from all across the country and around the world. When it comes to atmosphere and ambience, there is genuinely nothing quite like it. Writers Week has, for decades, welcomed people from all different backgrounds and ages, and everyone involved looks forward to the continued welcome and celebration of literature when we all get back together in the future. Given the year that's in it, the festival celebrates this 50th anniversary in a slightly different form here online. We open this year with the ceremony, and Writers Week would like to thank Kerry Group for their continued support of the Irish Novel of the Year Award. It's been 26 years now since it began. So, wherever you are around the world, welcome to Writers Week, and let's get on with announcing our winner. There are 5 shortlisted books for 2021. We begin with Laura Mckenna for her novel Shape My Name, published by New Island Books. Laura is a writer of fiction and poetry, and Shape My Name was a finalist at the 2020 Irish Writers' Centre Novel Fair and longlisted for the Bath Novel Award. Laura's short fiction has won the Penguin RTE Guide Award and was shortlisted in the Doyle Short Story Competition, among others. She's been nominated twice for a Hennessy Literary Award in poetry and also for a Forward Prize for a single poem. In 2019, she was awarded a John Montague Mentorship Bursary from the Munster Literature Centre.
Thank you, and I'm delighted to be shortlisted for the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year Award. It's a great honour and I'm very grateful for it. And thank you to the organisers of Listowel Writers Week and of course to the judges themselves. So I'm just going to say a few words about my book, which is called Words to Shape My Name, and it's based on the real story of 2 figures from Irish history. The first is well known, and it's Lord Edward Fitzgerald, who was a much romanticised person in Irish history. And the other is Tony Small, an escaped slave who became manservant to Fitzgerald. And these 2 first met at the Battle of Utah Springs in 1781, when Small saved the life of Fitzgerald, who'd been left for dead on the battlefield. And ever after, the 2 men were together. Firstly, Tony Small worked as Fitzgerald's groom and then as manservant, but then they became travelling companions and friends. And I was fascinated by this relationship and wanted to know more about Tony Small, which led to the writing of this book. So the novel takes these 2 men across continents and oceans down the Mississippi in an epic journey. They're on the edge of 3 revolutions, the American, the French, and of course the Irish Rebellion in 1798. And during the writing of this book, other voices apart from Tony's voice emerged, although his is the main narrative voice in the novel. But there's also Harriet, who is Tony's daughter, is there, and also Lucy Fitzgerald, who commissions Tony's narrative and acts as an editor and a censor on his work and on his writings. So I would like to thank my publisher, New Island Books, for transforming my novel into a very beautiful book. I'm extremely grateful to them, and thank you again to Listowel Writers Week and to the Kerry Group for this shortlisting. Many thanks.
Thanks to Laura. Our second shortlistee is Neve Campbell for her debut novel, This Happy, published by Weidenfeld and Nicholson in 2020. She was the winner of the 2020 Sunday Times Audible Short Story Award. Neve's short fiction and essays have appeared in the Dublin Review, 3am, Banshee, Gorse, 5 Dials and Tangerine. She was awarded a Next Generation Literary Bursary from the Arts Council of Ireland and annual literary bursaries in 2018 and 2019. She holds a PhD in English from King's College London and is a current postdoctoral fellow for the Arts Council of Ireland at Maynooth University. Neve lives and works in Dublin.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be nominated for the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year Award in 2021 for my first novel, This Happy. I'm going to just read the blurb of the book rather than give you a synopsis because I'm not really able to do it articulately. When Alana was 23, she met a man who was older than her, a married man, and fell in love. Things happened suddenly. She was young then and always so wound up. They met in April in the first bit of mild weather, and in August they went to stay in rural Ireland. It did not end well. 6 years later, when Alana is newly married to another man, she sees the landlady from afar. Memories of those days spent in bliss, then torture, return to her, and the realization that she's been waiting all this time to be rediscovered. So I'd first like to thank the Arts Council of Ireland, who originally gave me a literary bursary to write this book, without which I probably wouldn't have been able to write it. And I would also like to thank my publisher, Weidenfeld and Nicholson, my editor at Weidenfeld and Nicholson, Lettice Franklin, and my agent, Matthew Turner. And finally, of course, to the judges tonight for nominating me. I'm very privileged and very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks to Neve. Mckenna Schofield for her novel Bina, published by Fleet, an imprint of Little Brown. Mckenna is the author of the Giller Prize shortlisted novel Martin John from 2015, which was also a finalist for the Ethel Wilson Fiction Prize, the Goldsmiths Prize in the UK, a New York Times Editor's Choice, and named a Best Book of the Year by the Wall Street Journal, the Globe and Mail, National Post, Sunday Business Post, Toronto Star, and the Irish Times, amongst others. Her debut novel Malarkey from 2012 won the Amazon.ca First Novel Award, the Debulitzer Prize for Fiction in the United States, and was a finalist for the Ethel Wilson Fiction Prize. She lives in Vancouver, British Columbia.
I'm so delighted to be on this shortlist with my novel Bina, a Novel in Warnings. Thank you so much for putting me on this shortlist with all these fantastic, great writers and their wonderful books. Bina is a novel about a 74-year-old woman who's had enough. It is a story about female friendship and the question of autonomy at end of life. When I wrote the novel Bina, I call it a novel in warnings because it is told as a series of warnings. And I imagine Bina walking towards the edge of the planet and shouting warnings back over her shoulder to us. And I thought, why is it at the beginning of life we're constantly warned about the dangers of, as children we're warned, be careful, don't hit your brother or your sister or mind that. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if at the end of life we left behind a series of warnings so that those who remain could benefit from our wisdom. And so when I wrote the novel, it was like the other three novels that I've written. It was an experience that was populated by long periods of undulating despair as I tried to find the form and the language to embody Bina and her experience. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'd like to thank my publisher, Little Brown, Fleet, specifically Fleet, and I'd really like to send some big love to my editor, Ursula Doyle. Thank you, Ursula, and thank you, Fleet and Little Brown, for taking a punt on our Bina. The journey to writing this book was, like all my books, filled with a huge amount of undulating despair. But we go on. And my books always tend to meet a degree of resistance from the publishing world, but they never meet resistance from readers. And I'm just so grateful to readers, and I love all my readers. Thank you, Listowel. Thank you, County Kerry. Thank you, Kerry Group. Goodbye.
Adrian Duncan for his novel A Sabbatical in Leipzig, published by Lilliput Press. Adrian Duncan is an artist and writer based in Ireland and Berlin. He was shortlisted for the Emerging Writer Award at the inaugural 2020 Dalkey Literary Awards, and his debut novel Love Notes from a German Building Site was published by Lilliput Press and Head of Zeus in 2019. It was the winner of the inaugural John McGahern Book Prize.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be shortlisted for this year's Kerry Group Novel of the Year Award with Listowel Writers Week. My novel is called A Sabbatical in Leipzig, and it is about a retired Irish engineer called Michael Pura, who lives alone in an apartment in Bilbao. The novel is essentially a series of thoughts that he has over the course of about 45 minutes one morning. The thoughts are those that occurred to him on this particular morning. I would imagine on another morning, the thoughts he might have would be slightly different. The book was published last year by the Lilliput Press. I'd like to thank Ruth Hallinan at Lilliput Press. I would like to thank Sean Farrell, who edited this book. And I would particularly like to thank Anthony Farrell, who has encouraged my efforts over the years. Thank you.
Rob Doyle for his novel Threshold, published by Bloomsbury and Lilliput Press. This is Rob's third book. Doyle's debut novel, Here Are the Young Men, was published in 2014 and was selected as one of Hot Press magazine's 20 greatest Irish novels of 1916 to 2016. It's been made into a film starring Dean Charles Chapman and Anya Taylor-Joy. This is the Ritual, a collection of short stories, was published in 2016. He's written for The Guardian, Times Literary Supplement, Vice, Sunday Times, Dublin Review, Observer and many other publications. And throughout 2019, he wrote a weekly column on cult books for the Irish Times. He lives between Ireland and Berlin.
Thank you very much. I'm honoured and extremely pleased to have been shortlisted for the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year award. Threshold is an autobiographical odyssey. It's my second novel, my third book, and I spent about 4 years writing it. It's a book really, it's the most personal book I've ever written, and it's essentially made up of fascinations, obsessions, and the things I love and I'm passionate about, from art to friendship to literature to writing itself to other writers who have shaped or influenced or derailed my life at some point or another. And I wrote this book at a time of real personal kind of difficulty, crisis even, and writing the book and exploring the deep kind of driving underlying questions that animate Threshold became my way of kind of writing through that or writing out of that period of difficulty and crisis. And so I'm very, very happy about it. It's also a book about travel, about wandering, about lostness, about connections, the connections we make with other people along the way in life and so forth. So thanks again for for this shortlisting, and I also want to say thank you to my publishers, Bloomsbury, who've been very good to me, and to my editor there, Alexandra Pringle, and to my prior editor, Alexa Vaughan Hirschberg.
Now I'd like to introduce you to the sponsor, Catherine Keogh, Vice President of Corporate Affairs and Communications with Kerry Group plc.
First of all, I'd like to say how delighted we are at Kerry to be involved with these awards. As a company with strong Irish roots, we're proud to recognise Irish authors and the arts sector, which is of huge importance, particularly in this part of Ireland. And we know that when Listowel Writers Week was founded in 1970, it announced a daring mission to turn Listowel into a globally recognised centre of literary excellence. And we're proud at Kerry to support this ambition through our sponsorship of the Irish Novel of the Year Award, now in its 26th year. Kerry Group's vision to create a world of sustainable nutrition also has its foundations in Listowel, and we are proud of our Kerry heritage. Every day, our 26,000 people around the world continue to tell and share that story. And today, over 1 billion people consume products or drinks, food products containing a Kerry ingredient or a Kerry solution. And the story doesn't end there. By 2030, our ambition is to reach over 2 billion people with sustainable nutrition solutions. The master, Brian McMahon, a great North Kerry writer, said that Listowel was only a speck on the map. But through his words and the words of his fellow writers, such as John B. Keane and Brendan Kennelly, that speck has proven to punch way above its weight around the world. Their work, bringing County Kerry to the global stage, paved a path that Kerry Group continues to extend as we grow our business across the world. On behalf of our chairman, Mr. Philip Toomey, our chief executive officer, Mr. Edmund Scanlon, and our 26,000 colleagues all around the world, I would like to congratulate Mckenna Schofield on being awarded this year's award for her fabulous book, Bina. I would also like to congratulate all the finalists. The standard this year was unbelievably high, and I don't envy the task of the judges, Richard Skinner and Rachel Cusk, as they had to select a winner. Thank you all.
Thanks, Catherine, for that. And now it is time for our winner, Mckenna Schofield, to say a few words.
Oh my goodness, I'm just actually in shock. I'm actually, for a change, silenced. I really don't know what to say because I'm rich. It's unbelievable.
You know what they say? I'm cool with all the gods.